Because when you're strength training, you're also increasing bone mass, right?
Yes,
Bone density.
yes,
So
yes.
so women lose bone mineral density as they age because we have estrogen receptors on the bone. Correct? And that,
Correct.
yes. So obviously as we're weight training, you're pulling on the muscle, which pulls on the tendon, which pulls on the bone, which you create stronger bones, which is, by the way, what we need. If we're building for, let's just say we're building muscle and bone for when we're 80, it's going to help us get up out of a chair, be more mobile, and prevent us from falling, which is, I think, what the number one cause of death over the age of 80, or the second. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a major category for sure for not being able to live independently anymore. And I think just as a point of clarity, when we're thinking about estrogen and its function on bone, so estrogen is generally an anabolic hormone. So it's involved in growth, just like testosterone. They're both anabolic hormones. And one of the things that estrogen does specifically when it comes to bone is it tampers down a certain type of bone cell called an osteoclast. So there's two types of bones. There's an osteoblast, which is a bone builder, and an osteoclast, which resorbs the bone. So it breaks it down. Estrogen will almost like hammer down osteoclastic activity. So in midlife, as we start to lose our estrogen, the chokehold, if you will, that it has on osteoclasts begins to weaken. So we start to see a general increase in osteoclastic activity, which is now when we think about the balance between osteoblasts and clasts, we start to see, the scales tipping unfavorably for us, which is why it is so important. This is one of the benefits of HRT, right? So when we are taking estradiol or estrogen as hormone replacement therapy, that can help augment or slow down bone loss. The other thing that I think is really important to pair that with is impact. So as you mentioned, the strength training pulls on the muscle, which is the muscle turns into a tendon, and the tendon attaches to the bone, and we pull on the bone. We have, fibroblastic growth factor, all these things that are going to help positive bone turnover. And our bones are like full body scales. When you're doing box jumps or sprinting, let's say on a track or on a treadmill or something, your bones can feel that weight and they will naturally upregulate osteoblasts. So the bone growing cells, this is why we need impact as well. So you can't do impact every day, right? This is not, we're not guys. Women are distinct in many ways from men. And we want to be thinking about at least something like once a week where we are thinking about impact. So that might be a weighted vest. If you are a walker with your weighted vest, that might be jumping with your weighted vest.
Now, do I have to jump with weights? Because there was a really great study that I actually put out there, which showed that women who were osteopenic just jumped. I don't know how they were jumping, but it was calisthenics. It was not
probably just
loaded.
Their own body weight.
And so women who jumped 3 times a week for 10 minutes went from osteopenic to normal bone mineral density.
How fantastic is that?
Yeah.
How amazing are our bodies?
Exactly.
So you don't need to jump with weights. So I would
great.
I would say generally, if someone's listening to this like, oh my God, now I gotta sprint with a weighted vest. That's not what I'm saying. We always want to think about, and this is true for weightlifting as well, form first before load. You always want to think about executing whatever activity you're doing, whether it's jumps, sprints, box jumps, squats, lunges, deadlifts, whatever. Form has to be pristine. And then we progress to load. Then we can put some weights in your hands. Then we might put a weighted vest on, etc. But you can, as you just mentioned, with your own body weight, you can completely change the trajectory of your bone mineral density.
That's so interesting. And that's what I love, because what I really want as a prescription for health, especially brain health, is 2 times a week is minimum. Like, you don't have to go crazy. It's 2 times a week doing your compound movements, your squats, your deadlifts. Obviously, if you can get a trainer, that would be great. Or you can follow people on apps. Then you've got your jumping. Where do you sit on VO2 max and zone 2? So I have this, I've been really crazy, I think, the last few months, but as I read more and become more aware of midlife women, and time is really of the essence, I put out a statement saying that stop doing zone 2. Now, I didn't say it because I want everyone to stop walking or stop, going at that low zone. But I really spoke about the fact that zone 2 is really marketed. It's marketed for everyone, but it should only be really marketed heavily for men.
Right.
And, Inigo San Malon has been on the podcast, and we know that Peter Attia is a huge proponent of zone 2, and they are men.
Yes.
So why do you think women should not ditch zone 2, but maybe, what is it about zone 2 that isn't, in their favor? And it does have to do with mitochondrial density, right?
It does. And there's going to be, what I'm going to say now is probably going to upset many people, but so this one thing is the individuals that you mentioned, I have a lot of respect for them and the research that they do, but they are also men. So they are doing protocols where there's a robust amount of data for men. Zone 2 is attractive because it's easy. And
of course, like walking.
Yeah, I love walking. I walk. So just like I walk as well.
Stephanie walks.
Yeah, I walk. I'm not saying not to walk. The one thing that I get really riled up about, and it's probably one of the hills I'm going to die on, is this idea that women are not putting in the appropriate intent and intensity to their work. And this includes strength training. Like I was saying to you, the name of the doctor it doesn't matter, but she had put out an Instagram post saying, I'm going to quickly build muscle, and this is how. I'm going to wear my weighted vest, I'm going to do some kettlebell swings, and I'm going to do, what was the other one? It was like goblet squats. And I'm going to do 2 sets of goblet squats a week, and I have a 20-pound, or maybe it was a 40-pound kettlebell swing. And I think that the women are so confused because they have someone who has an MD behind her name saying, here's how you can build muscle quickly with things that are not going to build muscle at all. So we can talk about walking. Weighted vests do not build muscle. They're great for an increased caloric burn, increased metabolic benefit for sure. They're not going to build much muscle. There's no evidence. And I did a whole series on weighted vests because I love weighted vests, but there's a lot of misinformation about them. So weighted vests are not going to do it. If you're doing goblet squats or kettlebell swings 1 to 3 times a week at a set because you have that one kettlebell in your home, this is not progressive overload. Muscles you need to continually challenge your muscles. Mm-hmm. They are organs of demand. So the more demand you make of them, the bigger or stronger they will get. Mm-hmm. They are not, you will adapt. So you will have a certain adaptation to 2 sets of whatever it was that she was saying, 20 kettlebell swings. But then you got to jump it up from there.
It's basically cardio. Yeah.
Well, it's cardio, but even if it does provide you some muscle building benefit, it's going to level off relatively quickly. Like you need to increase either the weight, so the load needs to increase, the reps need to increase, the sets need to increase, the time that you take breaks in between your sets needs to decrease. Like these factors of progressive overload, I think are really missing from women. And this is where I still think that we are failing women because they think that they can put on a weighted vest or they can do 2 sets of goblet squats twice a week and they're going to build muscle fast.